that. Uh, the size of the font. Look, we all are getting older. None of us are getting any younger, and small font is harder to read for all of us. So it allows you to expand the font size to where you can actually read it. Colors, if you're colorblind, it helps you see the website easier. Look, if your website is in a place where people cannot see what you're saying on your website, why are they going to stick around there? Why would you? Well, you wouldn't, okay? If you went to a website and I don't know how many websites I've walked away from because you can't get to them. Well, that's what we are trying with Common Sense Access. We are trying to build a program to help you make sure that your program is accessible. So I am very, very proud to announce that we are now teamed with both of these partners. As you can see, the QR code in the corner is for Pieces of Me. And yes, pieces is spelled correctly, okay? Although autocorrect wants to tell me I'm out of my mind. But Pieces of Me is spelled correctly on this time. This is what Daniel wanted. So when we get back, we're going to start this this video and the first edition of a brand new. We haven't figured out exactly how many weeks it's going to run. It might run every 2 weeks, I think is what we're going to aim at. But it's Common Sense Access. And as soon as we get back, we're going to run the first episode. So please enjoy this, because I know I learned a lot. And I know that if you learn as much as I do, well, you're learning something. So I know if I can learn from it, Whoever said ignorance is bliss never ran a business. Did you know the vast majority of businesses don't make their products accessible to people with disabilities? And did you know that the collective buying power of people with disabilities is over $2 trillion? And if you're a business owner, you need to know how to make your business accessible so you're not leaving this money on the table. I want to tell you about my family partners at Real Life Access, who can help you connect with this underserved market. Real Life Access clients experience 3 amazing things. First, a reputation for accessibility that brings customers to your door. Second, a freedom of worry about legal consequences from not being ADA compliant. And third, increased revenue. Real Life Access team members offer common sense accessibility solutions which won't break your budget. These are business people who understand the challenges faced by all small businesses. They are also people with disabilities who know what it takes to be accessible. Check out their courses, coaching packages, and so much more at reallifeaccess.com. You'll be glad you did. Hey everybody, how's it going? You guys all know me. You've heard from me plenty. But I am thrilled to be joining these 2 wonderful people, and we are going to be bringing up something that you don't think a lot about. And the great thing about it is that we're just going to be talking about it. This isn't a bitch session. This isn't, we're going to come at you and wag our finger at you. That's not what this is about. This is just a learning experience and really trying to explain what we are doing. And I am joined by Angela and Daniel. Both of them have wonderful programs that help people make sure that your program is being seen by people who have challenges in accessibility. So I would first like to introduce you to Angela Fowler of Real Life Access. Angela, how are you doing?
Doing well. Well, hello everybody, and Zach is exactly right. We are we're here to educate and we're here to discuss. That's all we're here to do. I'm Angela Fowler. I am the founder and CEO of Real Life Access, which means that Real Life Access runs me rather than me running it. And we offer accessibility coaching and consulting. We also offer accessibility courses. So if you want to learn about accessibility, how do you make your business what the heck is accessibility anyway? We'll get to that later. We're going to define all this stuff. So just bear with us. But we offer accessibility coaching and consulting. We can take your website and make it work for people with disabilities. Now, fun fact about me, I am totally blind. So I know what it's like to not be able to, access something. I also know what it's like to run a business. So I'm going to come at you from a pro-business standpoint. Nobody else is doing this, okay? I guarantee you nobody else is doing this, but we're doing it. I'm a mom. I have one child, and I have fur children, kitties and puppies. Sweet distractions. In fact, I was doing a pre-interview this morning, and my cat decided she wanted to be part of the podcast. I'm a homeowner. I live in Northern California, the part of the state that the state forgot. And what else? What else interesting? I'm a sports fan, and I like to barbecue, and I like to drink beer. So I am atypical in so many ways.
Yet, I am really. Who's your team? I gotta ask you that.
It's rough. I'm a Colorado Rockies fan in baseball, and in football, my team is the Niners. And we just lost to the Rams on a last-second field goal. It was. I have yet to recover from the trauma.
Yeah, and then on top of that, you get slapped in the face this morning with Charlie Blackmon announcing his retirement at the end of the season. So,
well, we knew that was coming. We knew this was going to be Chuck's last ride. But the good thing is they'll be able to. They'll be able to properly celebrate him and his career. It's going to be a fun final homestand, and hopefully we'll win a game or two just to
what's kind of fun.
If we can take 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers, which probably won't happen, but it's my dream, right? If we can take 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers, beating the Dodgers is always a plus.
Yeah.
Send Chuck out in grand style. That's my dream.
That would be great. When I took my grandkids to the Rockies versus Royals game earlier this year, I was telling everybody, look, I want the Royals to win because I've been a Royals fan my entire life. But, I'm also a Rockies fan. I've been a Rockies fan since they moved to Colorado. I live an hour north of the stadium, so it's really, I love Coors Field. It's one of my favorite places to be. But I told people it's really hard for me to tell people that I am a baseball fan because I like the Rockies and the Royals, and neither one of the management teams know anything about baseball. So, but it's fun to go watch other programs that know a little about the sport. So, but
I stick with my team and I stick with my players, even if our ownership sucks. Even if our manager should have been fired 2 years ago. We have a GM that's doing his best despite the knotheads he's surrounded with. So I stick with my players, and we might not make the playoffs next year, but we're going to come up and bite some people. And 2026, I think we're going to be strongly in contention. That's my hot take. You can hold me to it.
I'll say that, they're going to be good until they, they'll get good. They'll find a great player. They're going to sign him to a contract and then watch him leave because he gets upset. that's the Rockies way. So, but yeah, we could talk about baseball.
I love your
for a long
optimism,
time.
man.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hey,
man.
you know what? There's always the Yankees out there that can come and take our great players. So,
I'm sick of the Yankees. You know
Yeah.
what? They got too many superstars in one place.
That's the curse of money, I guess.
I
Curse of money.
root for the underdog.
Oh, so do I. So do I. I love the Royals. I love the Rockies. I just can't really say that I'm a huge baseball fan because I'm a fan of the Royals and the Rockies. So,
I think that's
joining us,
a false dichotomy, my friend.
yeah. Well, also joining us is Daniel. Daniel, you started a wonderful company that also is talking about access with Pieces of Me. Why don't you give us a little bit of an explanation on who you are? Introduce us to you.
And before I do that, I'm gonna go with the interesting stuff first. So I am a lifelong Cleveland, now Guardians fan, and a long-suffering Cleveland Browns fan. So Angela's Niners lost on a last-minute kickoff or last-minute field goal. My Browns lost because they didn't show up, like usual. So that's my sports stuff. Yeah, like you mentioned, I started an organization called Pieces of Me Foundation with my cousin back in 2019 while I was between my first and second year of law school. And we did it because, quite frankly, there were too many people like us with disabilities, particularly multiple disabilities, who just were not being adequately served by the legacy organizations. I'm just going to go out there and say it. We have an organization specifically because what's been happening for the last several decades doesn't work. So we're going to try to fix that. My background is I was born with very limited vision in one eye, no vision in the other. I also have a connective tissue disorder called Ehlers-Danlos. We may get into that somewhere down the line. The long and the short of it is I've dealt with a lot of dislocations and fractures and other kinds of stuff. I've had orthopedic surgery in all 4 mainland U.S. time zones, so I know a little about that sort of thing. My other background is I have a bachelor's in education. I have my JD or law degree from University of Baltimore, and I'm, as we recorded this, about halfway through my master's in health administration at Western Governors University. So that's that side of it. And what I try to do in my advocacy work, both with Pieces and consulting with Angela in Real Life Access, is trying to get people out of the mentality of we'll deal with accessibility and inclusion when we get around to it, i.e. the social mandate model, and get people understanding that when we prioritize accessibility and inclusion done right, it is the best way to serve not only people with disabilities, but everyone, because it allows us to fulfill our potential, give back into the community, give back into the work world, whatever it may be. Because quite frankly, if 26% of the population is left on the sidelines, you name whatever big global challenge we're facing right now, poverty, homelessness, climate, whatever it is that resonates with you, we can't solve any of those things if we have a quarter of the population just barely able to get past the accessibility hurdles that they're facing in order to go out and participate in solving these things. I'm the father of 3 kids, 1 girl, 2 boys. They're all teenagers or preteens, and I am joining you from East Texas. Fun fact, the 12th state I've lived in, most of them multiple times. So I guess I have a gypsy bone, but that's me in a nutshell.
Well, it's great to meet you, and yeah, I will definitely say with your team, one of the things that I hear quite often is at least you're not the Cleveland Browns. So,
yeah.
But anyway,
at least the Rockies have players you can root for.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Daniel, but don't get me started on your quarterback.
Oh, I completely agree.
Oh God. Oh man, we
Okay.
could. You know what? We need to get together for another show, a sports talk. I've always wanted to do a
We should,
sports
you
talk
know,
Yeah.
show.
if we're not careful, people are going to start thinking this is a sports talk show. So, let's segue into defining what the heck accessibility is, shall we?
Yeah, yeah, and Angela, I want to ask because I really want to get this point across to people. There is a staggering number on how much money is out there that if you are not accessible, you're leaving on the table. Can you tell us about that real quick?
Oh yeah, it's exciting. It's insane, and the more I talk about it, the more insane it gets. So let me break this down for you. The collective buying power of people with disabilities, and we can go back and forth on the statistics all day. Statistics are crazy, but it's over $2 trillion. $2 trillion if you count seniors, which the government doesn't because they're the government. It's over $2 trillion. That's just people with disabilities. Okay. If you are accessible, people with disabilities are going to recommend you to their friends and family.
Yeah.
We haven't quantified that statistic. If you're accessible to disabilities, then your business is also by default going to be more accessible to people without disabilities. We haven't quantified that statistic either. I don't even think there's any way to quantify that, except to say that accessible businesses make a hell of a lot more money than businesses that aren't accessible. Now, what the heck is accessible anyway?
Right.
Accessibility is basically making shit work for people.
Yep.
Or, because Dan wants me to speak in a professional way, accessibility is making your goods and services, making it so that your goods and services can be purchased and utilized as quickly and as efficiently as possible by as many people as possible. You're not going to get 100% of the time. You know, every time I come up with something like this, someone comes up with some exception, right? Well, you know, my uncle so-and-so there, you know, he can't do this and he can't do that. And, you know, I don't care how accessible you make we know that, you know, we know there's exceptions. I'm talking about the vast majority of people.
Right. And it's almost like security, that as soon as you find security, you know, like computer security for one thing, somebody's already working to get around it. You know, we're always finding something that is going to be more difficult for somebody else to access. Right, Daniel?
Absolutely. And I love that you made that parallel, because a lot of times when people have been looking at the topic of accessibility, they come across somebody that we might consider to be a shark who would say, oh, do this plugin, do this one step, and your accessibility is taken care of. No, not unless it's going to be continuously updated and really be a dynamic solution. Just like you wouldn't put an antivirus in your computer and say, oh, security's done, I'm now free from viruses and hacking forever. No way.
Yeah.
Well, plugins are going to be their own episode. But let me say this. Any plugin that promises to make your website compliant, they're lying to you, because it won't. If a plugin promises to enhance your accessibility experience, to give the user features that they can use to customize their own experience, then they might be legit. But you still have to work. You still have to do some work to make your things accessible, but it's not as hard as you think. And we'll get into all of that in the next few episodes. We're gonna, you know, we're gonna delve into all of that.
And I think the takeaway there too is, like, as with anything else in life, with your business or anything else, you're going to get out of it what you put into it.
Yep.
Very, very much so. Can we real quickly just give a couple examples on what accessibility is?
So I'll tell you a story that involves my son.
Okay.
And this is one of my favorite stories to tell, because it highlights a lot of important things, right? So I was ordering a pizza. Can't remember what app it was. It was a couple years ago now. So whatever, the problem's probably been fixed. but I had to update my debit card. So I'm entering the information and I get to the expiration date field, and I don't know what the heck they thought they were doing, because the expiration date field was somewhere between an edit box, a date picker, and a freaking rat's nest. It was completely unusable for screen reader users. So I just said, you know what, I'm over this. So I got my son, who was 16, I think, at the time, and I said, can you give me a hand with this? I can't. This is BS. So he fought with it. About 5 minutes later, he goes, this isn't even accessible to sighted people.
Yeah.
So accessibility in that situation is creating a form field that works with a keyboard, where things are properly labeled, and that is intuitive for all users.
Okay.
I think adding to that as well, I'm sure we'll get into this in a later episode, but it's helpful also to distinguish between accessibility and an accommodation. You know, we hear all these things about accommodations, and sometimes that's the way to go, but far less often than we might think. And the reason is because when we look at accommodations, we're trying to tailor a solution for somebody based off of a vastly imperfect system, which really contributes to the otherness that we experience. It really makes it harder for us to navigate the system overall, and it leaves some broken things in place. Accessibility, by contrast, is looking at the system itself and saying, if we design this well from the get-go, whether it be a website, whether it be a building, or even something like the expectations of a job, if we could design these things from a strong universal design or user experience perspective in the first place, then our need to accommodate is significantly decreased.
I like to say accommodation is what happens when access fails.
Yeah.
So you can build a website the right way so that the vast majority of people can use it, or you can spend your time fielding customer complaints and helping your customers use your website. And honestly, you know, we're going to get into, you know, remediation, retrofitting later. But if you're building a website or if you're redesigning a website, it costs just as much to do it the accessible way as to do it the inaccessible way if you have somebody else do it. And don't, you know, forget about, from an accessibility perspective, forget about GoDaddy and Wix and Squarespace and all those guys. If you want a quick do-it-yourself website that's accessible, go with WordPress. You know, you can do it. You don't have to be a coder to build a website using WordPress. You can code all you want to, but if you don't know code, that's okay. You don't need to know code.
Right. And again, this is extremely important because there is $2 trillion out there that you are leaving on the table. If people cannot access your website, you don't have a chance to gain those customers.
A lot of money, my friend.
Right.
Is that 12 zeros, Dan? How many zeros is that?
You're right. I think you're right.
What?
I think you're right. And I think it's important to say there, too, that market share is growing as the population ages and as we start to solve the unemployment crisis among people with disabilities. That means there's going to be a significant economic upshift in collective spending power, both with getting people employed and, equally as important, getting people on the upward mobility track. So this number is not shrinking by any means.
That's a great point. And Daniel, I know that one of the things that we wanted to talk about are what can people expect from this podcast. What are some of the things, real quick, that they are not going to get from this podcast? I think that's important because we don't want to scare people away.
We are going to do everything we can to avoid anything that reeks of blame, shame, social mandate, anything that tries to compel people to to make a change. We're designed to, our programs are designed to meet people where they are and help them take this new set of information and figure out how to apply it to their circumstances in a way that makes sense for them.
Yeah, that's
great. This isn't a disability justice podcast. You can, if you want a disability justice podcast, you can find plenty of those. We're an accessibility podcast, and we're a pro-business podcast. We want to show you how to make things accessible because that benefits everybody. A couple of the topics we're gonna get into. The next episode is gonna cover basically the elephant in the room. We're gonna deal with the elephant in the room, and that is the law, which means that Dan's gonna do most of the talking, which means you're gonna have a lot more of a cerebral conversation and a few fewer swear words. After that, I'm not sure what we're going to talk about. We've got a few, we've hinted at a few topics, but each episode is going to cover a topic that is relevant to accessibility, and relevant to how people with disabilities do things, because a lot of people just don't know how people with disabilities do things. I've heard people in the disability community say, oh, well, the ADA has been around for 30 years. People should know this stuff. I'm sorry, but that's bullshit. If you haven't experienced it, if you haven't thought about it, of course you don't know. People only look at things through the lens of their own experience until somebody comes along to broaden that lens, and that's what we're for.
Yeah, to go back to something we were talking about earlier, Angela, I watched people throw a baseball at 99 miles an hour for 50 years. That don't mean I can throw a baseball at 99 miles an hour.
But you take those folks that can do that, there's a lot of stuff that we can do that they can't do.
Right. That's very well put. Daniel?
I think to your point too is that, but actually both of you, when we talk about things that are pro-business and looking at things through that lens, there's a very pragmatic side to this. Yes, we believe that access is a human right. We're not going to dispute that. But at the same time, if we get so caught up in looking at things from our perspective as end users, then we end up in a place where we may not be able to meet the business where they are. And the problem with that is, if we end up fighting for a solution that would effectively bankrupt that business instead of working with them to find a win-win proposition, business goes under. We don't have access to any of their goods and services. Nobody's won in that case. The far more practical, reasonable, and I think beneficial route for everyone is to say, okay, here's what we need. Here's what you need. Let's get some smart people together and figure out how to make this happen collaboratively.
Exactly. And we can do it. Their accessibility benefits everybody. We can get there. It may look like fixing the worst problems first and then going from there. It may look like just a little education. It may look like just labeling a few things. Whatever it is, we can make it work for everybody.
Right. And again, this is just a way that we can help you make sure that, give you an idea on what you need to do to better your business. Again, this is not us sitting there giving you the finger wag. It has nothing to do with that. This is just about us trying to help you make sure that you are making the most of your business. I'd like to take real quick, and I'd like to point a couple things out that you're going to see throughout this show. On the bottom of the screen right now, you see where it says communitypayitforward.us/real life access. That's where you can go to our website and you can see more of what you will find that Angela and Daniel both do. This is a program that will help you make sure that there's access on your computer on your website, on your computer, on your website to really help you better your business. They are a community pay it forward partner, which means anytime that you hire them, they're going to help us help someone else. Now, you take and you look up right next to me, you'll see a QR code for Pieces of Me, which is one of our mission partners that Daniel started. So you hire someone like Real Life Access, we can help a nonprofit like Pieces of Me. Scan that QR code, give us a picture of your receipt, give us the invoice from one of our partners, and a portion of your purchase will go to support programs like Pieces of Me. So this is all something where you can take and you can make a huge difference just by your own business using all this information that you're going to hear to make your business better. Plus, you can support programs by making your business better. So, do you all have anything to say before we shut down the first episode?
It's going to be a fun ride. Buckle up. And just what Zach said, if you hire Real Life Access for something, if you buy some courses from us, whatever the thing is, let us know that you came to us through Community Pay It Forward. Just drop me a note and let me know, because, my name is Angela and I can't keep track of anything.
We actually had that conversation earlier. It seems like the more we try to keep things in line, the more we lose things. So I looked in my filing cabinet today trying to keep my filing right, and I realized, oh my God, my filing's even off. So
well, my calendar is like an earthquake and a tsunami and everything else today, so I don't know what the heck I'm doing. So, but that'll about wrap it up for us, right? For episode 1 is in the books.
That sounds great. For Angela Fowler, for Daniel of Pieces of Me, my name is Zach. We will see you on the next episode. Thank you. This holiday season, as the world celebrates in so many ways, some families are facing it apart, feeling the weight of loneliness. At a miracle of a community that cares, we are creating a space where everyone, regardless of faith or background, can share in the joy of this wonderful season. Join Santa and leaders from all walks of life for stories, special shout-outs, and heartfelt messages from loved ones near and far. Children are taking the lead with art and fun, helping us bring the gift of books to children everywhere. Children in hospitals, children to families of all faiths, and to fortify traditions of families. This season, let's come together as a global community, one that cares, one that gives, and one that embraces all cultures, part of the miracle. Join us from December 24th to December 26th, and let's make this season unforgettable for everyone. I think it was really important to play the spot there for Z World Webs after our first episode of the accessibility show, because Mr. Z, being a web builder, is so careful with your websites, and he truly wants to make sure that he's doing the best he can for you, for your business. Okay. I mean, look, there's absolutely no secret that I love Z for everything he is, everything he does, everything he's done for this company. We've got other website builders that we are partnered with, and I love them as well, because everybody that we work with makes sure that people who have to overcome different ability challenges, they can access what you've got, what you need, what you do. And again, Angela said it in that video. 2 trillion. That's the one with the T. Okay? There are no trillionaires in this world. Okay? Think about that. 2 trillion. There are no trillionaires. So that's a lot of damn money is out there looking for homes, looking for people to shop with. $2 trillion in expendable income is there for you. And if they can't find you, they are not going to shop with you. So, look, I really appreciate Angela and Daniel for who they are, for what they do, for what they've gone through, just because, look, they could have decided, I'm not going to do nothing, but they all went for it. They both went for it. Daniel told you he's got a law degree. They both work hard to make life better for other people. And that's why we are proud to be part of who they are, and we're thrilled to have them in our program, and we're thrilled to share the spotlight with them and make lives better. So, speaking of making lives better, my next guest is a dear friend. Every time I talk to this lady, I smile. Every time I get a chance to see her, we have a great time. She is a wonderful, wonderful person. She lives here in Colorado, so I get to talk to her a lot. She's always accessible for nonprofits who need help, who need advice. She's willing to share. She's willing to give of herself, and I appreciate that more than anything. Her and I have been working together for quite a few years now, and they unfortunately got rid of her job with the last place she was at. And so she's looking for something new. And I'm just going to say, I'm going to come out and say, you know what? I'm going to challenge you. If you can look at your organization and say that this organization cannot move forward, don't worry about calling her. But if you can see your organization moving forward, you're just missing that piece. I challenge you to call my next guest. She's amazing at what she does. She's amazing at being who she is, and she's amazing at getting people Oh, that says Amazon. I saw the book in the corner there, and it looked like said amazing. And no, it says Amazon. But I was like, wow, maybe I'm reading that wrong. But she is amazing on what she does, and she's got a new gig. And when we get back here in just a second, we are going to revisit with our really good friend Janet Hatfield. Introducing Shop, Click, and Pick, the simplest way to support those doing good in communities everywhere. We understand that shopping is a necessity, but with a slight adjustment, you can make a huge difference without spending any extra money. Here's how it works. Please visit communitypayitforward.us and navigate to the Find Your Partners tab. Discover our verified giving partners, which are trusted allies ready to meet your needs. Shop with any of the partners that resonate with you. Click a picture of the receipt or invoice, then pick the mission partner you wish to support and use their QR code to send the receipt directly to us. After that, all you have to do is sit back and enjoy your purchases, knowing that you've made a meaningful change for someone in need. Community Pay It Forward amplifies your business's impact by sharing the story of those who require your services, rallying support for those who need us all. Because no one needs to go it alone when we all come together. I am very excited to have Janet back with us.